Hello and welcome to one and all. I, Dr. Asavri Sawant, on behalf of Integrated Health and Wellbeing Council, welcome you all to the live panel discussion on World Sexual Health Awareness Day. This panel discussion today is specifically organized for overcoming stigma and initiating positive perspectives and discourse around sexual health. Today, for this discussion, we have very eminent guests here with us today from this field. Please allow me to welcome Dr. Professor Deepak Jomani, who is renowned and classified sexual health physician and counselor in India. We welcome you, sir. Next, I welcome Dr. Komal Goswami, who is Chief of Party of Plan India. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Sir.
Next, we welcome Ms. Shelja Mittal, who is founder and CEO of CureX Health Technologies. We welcome you, ma'am. Next, we welcome Dr. Ajayita Channa, who is director of A Clinic and co-founder of iRed.in. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you.
With these experts here with us today, let us start with the session. My first question is to you, Dr. Jomani. What would be the role and significance of counseling, according to you, in ensuring sexual health, especially awareness especially amongst the youth? Over to you.
Thank you very much, and I congratulate IHW for this initiation and to have this initiation on this particular important day, which will definitely make a difference to the masses. Asavri, sex and death. These are the two things which have been taboo right from beginning. We are all born out of it. We all know about it. We are born out of love and sex. And one day we are going to have death. This is inevitable. So,
can we request Dr. Deepak to be a little louder, please?
Ask about it. Patients don't talk about it. Doctors don't ask about it. Though we are all born out of it, right? Sex and death still have been a taboo right from beginning. Now, I give a very simple example why this has happened. If there's a small toddler, 3-4 months old, sitting on the ground or just crawling on the ground, and if there's a snake just passing by this toddler will try to catch it. He's unaware that this snake may bite him and he may get poisoned and he may be killed. But will you and I do that? We will not do that. Why? Because we are educated. So the key to everything which is still a taboo and which is still we are ignorant about it is the education. Now this education is the key which we all should nurture, which we all should take up, and we all should motivate everyone to go ahead with it. Now, what is counseling? Counseling, according to me, is nothing but a beautiful art which everyone should have, a counselor should have, is an art of listening. But it is not just listening, it is also trying to give them some rational thoughts which can, as a differential, make them adopt those and without being judgmental about it and give them an opportunity to use them. See, when I go to give counseling to students in schools and colleges, there is a lot of inhibition still with principals, with some parents, etc. That you are teaching them some reproductive system and other things. Our children may go for sex, but see, giving education is not giving a permission to have sex. It is giving them an opportunity to think what is good and what is bad for them. Any education is very, very motivational for anyone to think about the pros and cons and then go for it. Now, what we do in counseling, when we have patients who come to us, see, today, though we are sexually liberated and the whole climate is like that, women are empowered, they don't bother about the financial securities, they are well enough, they can have their own car, own house, they're earning more equal to men. So women also have equal right to whatever pleasures which they deserve. So they ask for something more than that from a man. So though we are liberated, but taking a sexual STC, I'm concerned with the medical people who are listening to me and who are concerned about it. So my plea to the whole universe is that every medical man should develop certain confidence, certain clinical skills to take a proper sexual history. The whole problem lies that everybody's personality is different. There's some preconceived notions, and maybe they have inadequate knowledge about the subject, and they all perceive that what patient will think about me if I ask certain questions related to sexual issues. So it is we need to prioritize clinical men, we need to prioritize doctors especially to ask the histories in a such a way which is very conducive and which is very important, and we should not make him feel judgmental about it. We should not feel that he's the only person suffering from any sexual dysfunction or sexually transmitted to anything that goes wrong in his sex life. So we need to not generalize anything.
Very well said, Dr. Jumani. Greatly explained. So, on the same note, I would like to move on to Dr. Komal next and ask her what as Dr. Deepak shared, how can we create an environment that facilitates sexual health as well as knowledge amongst youth, especially girls? And by this I mean talking about menstrual health and hygiene practices, good touch and bad touch differentiation. What are your thoughts on this one? How can we do that?
Thank you, Dr. Sawant. First of all, I congratulate IHW Council to organize this particular event on this very much important day, and I also thank and welcome all my all my fellow panelists. I'm sure this particular roundtable will give us a lot of insight. Over to you to your question, Dr. Sawant. I think that the question should be not especially to girls, but equally to boys and girls, because when it comes to world sexual, sexual health, I think going out to youth and giving the information, the right information, and to make the correct choices is as important for boys and as important for girls. When you ask me, and people do ask me that what is the right time or right age when the sexual health, this particular curriculum or this particular information can be given to the children or youth or adolescent, I think there is no appropriate age for it, because when it comes to consent, when it comes to good touch, it comes to bad touch, I don't think so any genre or any age group is not vulnerable to it. I work with the community. I work with Plan India, and we work with the communities very closely. We work with young age children. We work with young age women. And I also am leading a program called Durex Let the Birds and Bees Talk with Ricket, and we work with children from 10 years of age, and we make sure that we tell them that sexual health is not just about relationships or building everything. It's about building positive affirmations. It's about having the confidence to actually make right kind of conversation. We also empower the community and the school and the teachers, because children at very young age do understand that teachers are their free safe spaces. But do teachers know that? Do parents know that? Do community know that? So I think it's like WHO is this particular topic. The theme for this particular year is let's talk about pleasure. You can only talk about pleasure when you can actually build the sense of power. You can actually build the sense of protection around it, and the conversation starts from small topics, from growing up to puberty to having the consent in the relationship, consent, boundaries. So overall, I think to answer your question, Dr. Sawant, we start from the right age, we start with the right people, and we start with the right information. That is the most important. Thank you.
Definitely, ma'am. We completely agree with what Dr. Komal said. This positive discourse and this, having this knowledge is not just solely for girls, but for the entire youth. regardless of gender. And our initiative today is to initiate those positive perspectives. And as rightly shared by Dr. Komal, it starts with right age. It starts with the right environment, both at your home and around you in your surroundings. And it is a duty of everybody, not just the teachers, not just the parents, but society as a whole, to keep positive discourse around these topics and not let them become taboo anymore, which we have had since years in our country. Next, moving on to Dr. Ajayata Channa. Welcome, ma'am. So, as you are expert into holistic health as well as Ayurveda, please can you talk about what Ayurveda says and its role in sexual health? Over to you. Ma'am, you are on mute, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
So first of all, I sincerely express my gratitude and thank you for inviting me to this panel. Indeed, today is a very important day, and I'm glad, this now we have started speaking about this sexual wellness and the sexual well-being very openly. I do remember in 2014, I had attended one award ceremony in Mumbai where I had met Mr. Deepak Jumani. And I had heard him, and he was speaking quite openly about these things. And that time, I was not into this field. I was just working as a general physician. And that time also, it had given me a knock at my heart, yes, whatever he's been speaking, he is quite right. And then I started exploring about this field into my own Ayurveda science. And now, Ayurveda, we've been noticing this Ayurveda past 6,000 years. And to your surprise, in Ayurveda, sex is never considered as taboo. In Ayurveda, there is a special branch of medicine which it creates and it treats, and it also regenerates the kind of healthy men and women where they can land up into the healthy relationship, maintaining the healthy sex as well as the healthy harmony. What WHO has given a tagline today, let's talk about pleasure. So in Ayurveda, we say it's a very, very balanced kind of a thing. So it has given 3 pillars. One is diet, second is your sleep, and third is your indulgence into the sex. So when Ayurveda has already described it, Ayurveda has also has given the definition of healthy. So when it says healthy, it clearly says your body and mind should be very happy. So as we say, this is we are born, how we are born. Of course, our parents met, they had copulation, they had an intimate relationship. That's how we were born. So when we are talking about that, Ayurveda says it is not a taboo. We should give the education and the full remaining into the balance. So why all these sexually transmitted diseases are coming? Because it's going very haywire. We have forgotten the balance part. So if we consider all these things in balance and we maintain the proper hygiene, which is a full elaborated chapter, which is called Vajikaran in Ayurveda. So I don't think there should be any sexually transmitted diseases, one. And secondly, it would be a simple pleasure, mental and physical, between a healthy man and a healthy woman, or healthy boy and a healthy girl. So this is the basic, broad spectrum outer sketch of what Ayurveda has asked about, has spoken about the sexual health.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Ajayata. So we saw the role of counseling, how important that is to, encourage positive discourse around sexual health. We also heard from Dr. Komal and her experience working with youth and how to go about that. We also had inputs from what the science of Ayurveda says about this. Now moving on to the technical aspect, the digital technology aspect. aspect, I would like to ask Michelle Mittal, how can digital technology and artificial intelligence, in your opinion, revolutionize the way sexual health is perceived in India now? What do you feel around this topic? And in this day and age where privacy is one of the most important concerns on digital platforms, how can we address this scenario in present times when it comes to sexual health being considered taboo and all those things? Over to you, ma'am.
Hi, Dr. Sawant, and hi, everybody. Thank you so much for inviting me on this important day and important topic, I would say, that, talking about the stigmas around sexual health, because I think it's high time we all start talking about it, because sexual health, at least we all know, and I'm sure people around us are getting to know this very easy, that sexual health is not only confined in the bedrooms, because sexual health actually affects your mental health, your social well-being, your family health, everything, every aspect, because everything starts from sexual health. So thank you so much. And coming to your question, Dr. Sawant, that how can technology play a vital role in, in this positivity around, spreading positivity around sexual health? So I think that's one of the main pillars of Curix, which I am building around sexual health, that we all know that why sexual health is stigma, or why somebody hesitates to ask for help when they think that they have some sexual issue. We all know that people feel stigmatized, they feel being judged when they are sitting in front of a sexologist clinic, maybe. So that is where they think, because I think in a country like India, where we have already tagged since years that if your sexual health is not healthy, there's something wrong with yourself. You are not capable of something, whether you're a male or a female or any other gender. You are not capable of something, and that is why your sexual health is not right. So people have that notion in their head that if my sexual health is not right, that means I am at fault. I am lacking something. That stigma actually stops them to, asking for help. They feel that if somebody sees me sitting outside a sexologist clinic, they might feel that I am not right, whereas we need to remove that stigma. So I think I feel that technology can help them remove that stigma, that, okay, in case you are feeling judged, you can meet the best doctors probably online, because technology is getting all the best doctors close to their patients, from where, they can reach out to doctors from anywhere and everywhere across the world, the best doctors in the field. Secondly, if I talk about privacy, yes, with the kind of encryptions technicians are using in creating these platforms, obviously, and all the government rules which we have been put on technology, we all know the power of, importance of privacy of personal data. So keeping that in mind, that, okay, the personal data need not to be shared. The data which artificial intelligence uses, like the questions people ask around sexual health and the answers given by doctors to that question, can actually help a lot of people, because these answers coming from sexual health experts is actually the filtered data somebody is looking for. Whereas we all know that when we start searching on questions around sexual health, we will get a lot of questions from the search engines. But that is all unfiltered data. We are looking for filtered data. So if we use the artificial intelligence in the right way, this filtered data can not only help one or two people who are asking the question, can actually help millions of people going forward around for sexual health. So I think, yes, that is the role what artificial intelligence and technology are going to play in coming years, and I'm starting to play actually around sexual health.
Definitely, ma'am. And very rightly explained that this filtered data would also not only be beneficial for the doctors, the researchers, but also for India as a whole. can be used in various different ways and would give a better picture of the reality of this topic around in India. So coming back to the health aspects and to the medical science, to Dr. Jumani, sir, how can we create awareness on prevention and control of sexually transmitted infections, STIs, and including HIV and management of cervical and other cancers of the reproductive system, which not solely happen due to bad sexual practices, but could happen due to that. So over to you, sir.
See, everyone's pleasure, everyone's desires are their own personal rights and personal businesses, but any doctor should not become judgmental about it as to what is he doing, is he doing something wrong or anything. But yes, we need to intervene only when it is affecting his health and the health of the society or health of his near ones and dear ones. So we need to come out of this clinical inertias. We need to be very skilled in asking the patients. We need to leave that conceived notions about how patients may be embarrassed if I ask about it. A very simple question I ask in my clinical examination when I do you have problems in making love? Very simple. It is not vulgar. And to my surprise, I find patients coming out, or they were waiting for me to initiate a dialogue on this aspect. So very simple thing. And then all those we need to challenge our old knowledge about how a patient will react, whether he'll be embarrassed or whether he'll feel bad. We need to come out of all these things, and the onus of their health, sexual health, lies with us. They will not open up. We have to be proactive and ask them. So we need to just leave that old knowledge which we have. We need to reconstruct our own wisdom as to be proactive and ask in every history. We do ask every other things, like do you have piles, do you have fissures, do you have cancer, do you have any heart, all sort of diseases, but we don't ask about the sexual history. So we need to ask, a beautiful survey which we did in our JJ hospital, that what were the questions asked pertaining to sexual things? So we know that cigarette smoking is causing impotence in men. So they did ask, 94% of the doctors did ask the history of smoking, because it was always being asked. It was like written in the theory also. Then about the STIs, there are only 49% doctors who asked about the histories, that whether you had any sexual transmitted infections. And then only 29% doctors asked whether you use condoms during having sex. And only 20% of the doctors asked that, do you have multiple partners? See, this is what is the percentage of the questions which the doctors are asking. So instead of asking that only 20% doctors asking that, do you have multiple partners? You should ask right from the big, every patient you should ask, what's wrong in that? Nothing. Now, today, it's so it is. We have come to know that today promiscuity is so common, extramarital affairs are so common, and people are looking out for different varieties and all that. So this is very common. So it is very important from a clinician's point of view for every clinician to ask, did you have multiple partners? Did you suffer from sexually transmitted infections? Did you use condoms? It is not bad. It is not vulgar. Friends, your patient will not hit you for asking this thing, or will not accuse you or abuse you. He will be very happy if you're asking and trying to know what actually could be wrong. So it is the inertia from the clinician which has to be overcome, and break the ice and just be upfront and ask these questions. We need to just forget the old knowledge and come back to the newer knowledge which we have. And because we know that every sexual dysfunction, every sexual transmitted infection has got a cure. And this is affecting not only him, but his partner. And there is definitely a dent in the relationship. And more so, we need to counsel them on to avoid multiple partners, because the fear, the shame, guilt, which he gets of having multiple to sex workers or whatever it may be, is very difficult to cope with, these three emotions like fear.
I believe we have lost Dr. Jumani in the middle due to some network issue. He is back, as I can see in the screen. So we will get back to Dr. Deepak as soon as he joins. As rightly shared by Dr. Deepak, there is, yes, sir. Are you able to hear us back?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Yes, please continue.
See, by overcoming these barriers, and developing better skills and changing the mindset and attitude of every clinician by media sources like this panel discussions and the lectures which I give in the conferences, almost every conference there is more diabetic or medical conferences. So these things are definitely, provoking them to ask the patients. So that is the first thing which is very important. And we know that if they ask, definitely the patient is going to answer him. And if he's able to manage with the new skills which he can develop of how to manage these sexual dysfunction or sexually transmitted infections, they can definitely make a difference in the patient's life.
Very wisely shared, sir. So as Dr. Deepak shared, it is not only the responsibility of sexologists or those into this field only to inquire their patients about their sexual well-being, but everybody and anybody who is part of the healthcare and not. Just the way we ask our friends and family around us, how is your mental health? How are you feeling? How are your emotions this week? We should also be inquiring about sexual health just as freely, is what I feel. And coming from health background, this should be part of the regular checkup that every patient gets from any doctor of that kind. There are many taboos and hesitancy that we feel while asking our patients from our side as well as what we get from the other end, from the sufferers themselves. So coming on to Dr. Komal, ma'am, what is your experience while working with adolescents and young adults on their choices related to sexual health and practices, and how can we destigmatize conversations around it with them? Over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Sawant. I, being a public health expert, I work with millions of youth. Currently, I'm working with 4 million youths of Northeast of India, where we educate them on the right information. Like my colleague over here, Shelja, Ms. Shelja told that it's all about, getting the right information. We know we all were, curious at one point of time. I think most of us have Googled at one point of time at our age that how the babies are born. And will redirect on any such site which is which do not have the correct information, will direct the these children who are full of curiosity to any unreliable resources. What we need to definitely inculcate is, we have Dr. Ajayita, we have Deepak sir as a specialist like such, working with the community. In fact, Dr. Sawant, I'm glad to say that, with my experience, I think one major loophole that we are trying to build, and I think we'll be succeeding very soon, is to get all the stakeholders to come and talk about it. Those stakeholders are not just the doctors. It's the common community, it's the government stakeholder, it's tech experts. It's like everybody coming together and finding the solution of a common problem. I don't think so it's a problem also. So I saw a very interesting article somewhere where they were, the article was telling us about STIs, STDs, how to prevent ourselves from, unintended pregnancy. Currently, overall 10 million unintended pregnancies are there between the age of 15 to 90 years of age. 38.4 million youths and people are living with HIV in developing nation. But that everything is just the tip of the iceberg. I think what we need to understand is to go behind that iceberg and deep root problem. The problem is, do we know about consent? Do our children know about consent? Do people, our adults, know about being comfortable with yourself, understanding your sexuality and accepting that, and others also accepting their sexuality? The other thing is that not faking it, because half of the people, we actually know that we know, but there are still a lot of things that we actually can do. being realistic, and to understand what other people are thinking, and not to let people down, when people are conversing about such kind of information, which is absolutely very much necessary. And that's why, I think my journey started with the adolescent and youth, so that when they become young adults, when they become, at an age which is appropriate for them to have, to grow up the families or anything, or sexual pleasures, etc., they know what is the right practices, they know where to have the right practices, where whom to seek right information from. If there is a problem, which is the best doctor to go for it, which is the best platform. We have developed a AI based chatbot called Hello Juby, and a very very interesting curriculum, where teen talks about each other. And we don't want to communicate all the information through very serious stuff. We can communicate it through music, through arts. We can communicate it through, social media influencers. We can communicate it through any leader who actually is influential enough to give the right information to children. And currently, I think everybody is coming together, right? I think that we are breaking the taboo, and we'll be able to make more conversation and freely conversation, I'm sure, for the next World Sexual Health Day in 2023.
Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Komal. And I completely agree with you. Coming from public health background myself, what we see on the research papers and out there in studies is completely different from the real picture that we experience firsthand, that I'm sure that you are very well aware of. And as rightly shared, there are so many things that are still required to be done in India. So coming on to Ms. Shelja next, as Curex Health Technologies is India's first AI-powered holistic platform to solve sexual issues for men and women. Ma'am, can you please share the work that you are doing in your organization, as well as how can we use online sessions and online counseling to reach as many people around India as possible for ensuring sexual health and well-being and just spread of good knowledge in general? Over to you.
Sure. So, Dr. Sawant, if you talk about Curex, or I would say any other platform or working in sexual health, the one challenge around sexual health, which we all know, is the stigma moving around it. Yeah. So I think we all are working in our own capacities to break that stigma and get more people to be able to talk about sexual health. The second challenge, which we saw when we started Curex, was that, even if somebody understands that, okay, I have a sexual issue and I need to meet a doctor, they are not able to locate or find the right expert for them. One, because they feel shy about it. And for example, if I have some other issue like stomachache or something, I would ask a couple of my friends or relatives that who's the right doctor for that. But if I have a sexual issue, for example, I might feel shy. And that is the case with a lot of people, at least in India, we know that. The second reason that they're not able to get to the right expert is that sexual health is, that's what our research says, sexual health is actually a combined science of 6 medical sciences, which is like mental health, relationship health, your female organ system health if you're female, skin, because STIs and STDs are generally treated by venerologists, hormonal health, right? So basically 5 different specialties. 6th is for like, if you're a male, then andrologist or urologist who actually take care of the male reproductive health. So that is the reason that we could see that, okay, the sexual health is actually treated by 6 different specialists generally. We brought them together on platform, on Curex, all these 6 specialties like mental health expert, relationship experts, hormone expert, venerologists, gynecologists, and andrologists, so that people can choose the right expert. And when they get stuck that who's the right, I can see 6 specialties, but I don't know whether my sexual issue is because of my mental health, or is because of my relationship health, or is because of my hormonal health or any other health. In that case, as I said, AI comes into picture. which we all can use. It's not only Curix is using, I'm sure we all the other platforms can use, that, you know, we can help them. So for example, I can just speak about Curix right now, what we are doing, that we ask them to talk to the AI bot, which we built, which is Dr. Curo, to ask them to talk to them and understand that who's the right expert for you. Because Dr. Curo, when asked some questions based on the answers given by the person suffering, the Dr. Curo at the end tells that, okay, you probably have this sexual issue, and this kind of the right doctor out of these 6 specialty doctors may be able to help you best. So that's a recommendation Dr. Curo gives based on the answers a person, the sufferer, gives to the questions. And then obviously the sufferer can have an online session booked and can have an online consultation wherein the doctors are from India and USA. And I'm sure there are so many doctors all around the world also. And in India only, as Dr. Jumani, I'm sure Dr. Jumani knows that there are experts in India, but yes, people are not able to approach to experts like Sir because they don't know how do we and who's the right expert for them. So technology, I'm sure, can play a vital role in just bridging that gap between a sufferer and the right expert. And that's what we are also trying to do.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Ms. Shelja. That is amazing work that you are doing. And definitely, we are using technology in sexual health field as well, the way technology is being used in other fields. So coming on to Dr. Ajayata. So as we know, talking about sexual health has been a big taboo in all around the country. But coming from an Indian background, all ourselves, we also know that in Ayurveda, it's not a taboo, as you have already shared. It is the proper science of procreation that Ayurveda puts it as. So as Michelle just shared, there are 5 different specialities in which you could be, suffering from, and all could lead to your sexual health imbalance. Is there something similar that Ayurveda also puts out? And if so, what are the basic principles of procreation that Ayurveda shares so that to maintain proper health of a man and a woman both? Over to you.
So, meaning thereby, I think you are asking me, is there any specific medicine or the treatment in Ayurveda which is working for the aphrodisiac or the sexual wellness? That's your question is?
No, ma'am, that's not my question. My question is, are there specific healthy principles laid out by Ayurveda to be followed by people while procreating that would have the optimum effect? Is there any, late principles in Ayurveda like that? And if so, please can you share?
Yeah. So basically what it happens, like first of all, let me tell you, Ayurveda doesn't go in the body as a department wise. That this is neurology, this is gynecology, right? Or this is oncology, or this is gastroenterology, this is dermatology. Ayurveda doesn't work like that way. Ayurveda considered as a whole, as a holistic one. To give you the answer, let me give you one insight of my, the acquaintance, what I had faced with my patient. So one patient, he approached me and he came to me with the sign that he was into the acute depression. Okay. And he was being treated by the psychiatrist as well as the psychologist, but to no avail. His depression was still existing and he had been suffering with this depression for past around 7 to 8 years. So he was running from post to pillar and get his treatment done, but nothing was able being very fruitful for him to get the problem fixed up. So finally he came to me wanted to seek a solution in Ayurveda. So in Ayurveda, we get all kinds of people where they are totally lost the hope from everywhere, then they would shift to some alternative treatment, right? So we get all the very challenged kind of a cases. So he approached me, right? So when he came and he started talking about I'm depressed, this, blah, blah, blah. So digging out and making him comfortable and getting him into the comfort zone. And then I thought whatever he is speaking, it is not exactly the problem, what he is actually seeking the solution. The problem is somewhere else. So I openly asked him I said, is that something that you are not able to perform, or you have some challenge in your sexual wellness? And he started crying. And he actually started crying because he had lost 4 relationships and he was not able to perform. And that was the reason for his depression. So Ayurveda, whenever so I treated him on the, this line, because I have my own products as well, very, very much herbal, jamun.com is my portal where you can see all my products working for that. And so when I started treating with him, he was perfectly fine. His depression was gone. He's totally hale and hearty, and now he's blessed with one child as well. Right. So when we talk about in Ayurveda clear cut says, if you want to live a healthy relationship, no matter this is just the sexual wellness, well, the topic is this, so I'm highlighting that one only. In the start of my conversation, I'd already explained there are the 3 pillars. You have to make the balance. What time are you sleeping? Nowadays, the diet and the lifestyle is totally haywire. So we are totally into the processed food and the packaged food, right? And at night we are working, and in the daytime we are sleeping. So as per Ayurveda, this is completely the reverse. When we do lot of night activities, your one dosh, which is called as the vata, or which we call as the ear, it gets vitiated. When it gets vitiated, lot of signs of the, the mental depression and the gastro challenges, they start coming up, the constipation. When they start coming up, the patient loses the track of his health. When there is no track of the health, definitely there is a hormonal disturbance. When there is hormonal disturbance, how can a one person lead a healthy sexual life? It's very simple. So this is the one simple thing. So Ayurveda clear cut says, you don't have to say the Ratri Jagran. That means you don't have to have the nocturnal life. But still, if you have your profession is like that you are compelled to do the nocturnal life, you have to have a certain kind of the yoga asanas and a certain kind of the, diet. Like when you are working all night, that means you don't have to take your breakfast at 8 a.m. You first have to energize yourself. Then around 10 to 11, you take your first breakfast. So if you are following all these rules and the regulations laid by Ayurveda, so probably there should not be any kind of the sexual depression. But definitely, if you have to follow those lines, you need to have help of some Ayurvedic doctor, which they can lay down the principle. And mind it, the one principle cannot be applicable to the second person, because it goes with your body constitution. So you have to follow the full regimen. To make a conclusive tip of what Ayurveda says, definitely you need to have a very much physical hygiene. You need to have a mental hygiene also, which nobody talks about. So mental hygiene means how happy you are. How happy you are, how you are spiritually high with your all exercises and all that would going to give you the sense of well-being. That sense of well-being would create lot of endorphin hormone. That lot of endorphin hormone would give you the sense of pleasure. Sense of pleasure, you have a healthy relationship. This is very, very simple as per Ayurveda.
Thank you, Dr. Ajayda. You have summed it up so beautifully that it is not just one aspect that you have to focus on if you're suffering from that. It is your entire lifestyle that you have to focus on, including your food, your sleep, your mental well-being, your happiness, and your hygiene, of course. So that also answers the next question that I was about to ask you regarding sedentary lifestyle. When we are paying attention on our physical activities, other aspects, including sexual wellness, would also come into place. But I had this curious question to all our experts over here. Isn't it ironic, India being called the land of Kama Sutra, and we are having such difficulty in sharing and talking about sexual well-being? This is very shameful and very ironic, in my opinion. And I would like to clear this out with Dr. Ajayda over here, as she is a professional in Ayurveda. What exactly means by Kama Sutra? because the perceptions of the Western countries or the perceptions of modern people for this science is totally different from the reality that I know. So please, can you share in brief what it is, and is it still used out there? How can it benefit the sexual well-being of people?
So the question is really beautiful, and I know, like, this is what exactly I speak with my patients as well. Like, why you are hesitant, or when I started speaking so openly about this and I started working on this field, so everybody started saying, tagging me like, she's a Devi of Kama Sutra. Right? So I would say, like, this is really very, very shameful. India being the land of Kama Sutra, and in Kama Sutra, as I said, it is basically the dire need of two physical bodies. Why to deny this? And what is there to deny in this? If you are not having the physical harmony, the physical relationship, which are ancient grants, they have been telling us, like, this is the exact way, and this is how the sexual relationship should be performed. You would be surprised to know, like in Ayurveda and in Kama Sutra, the positions have been even explained. Even the time has been explained. And honestly speaking, when I treat my patients, because I treat my patients purely on the Ayurveda, right? So because I get patients who have been tired of using Viagra and sildenafil, tadalafil, all these things, and they are tired of it because they have got the side effects, so much of the side effects. So people, they want a respite from that, as well as they want a healthy sexual lifestyle. So very simple. Let me tell you, like, in Kama Sutra or in Ayurveda, there is a one thing: Stree sabse acha vajikaran hai. So let me tell you in English, like, the woman itself is considered to be the best aphrodisiac. So when I say that, so does it mean, like, all the women should be taken as and they are aphrodisiac and they are easily available? No, the Shastra doesn't say that. Shastra says that a partner, your sexual partner with whom you are about to share your whole life, that she should have a certain kind of appeal, and that's been written in the Kama Sutra. That's written in the Ayurveda Shastra also. So let me say, like, I get a couple. So many of the patients, when the man has a particular kind of one kind of a problem with the woman itself, like she's not having that appeal. So I'm losing my interest, though I want to be. So our family life is getting into haywire. We are about to get into the divorce. So now you correlate that Stree is the best vajikaran. So when it's written like the woman is the best aphrodisiac, that means she has to be, I'm not saying that she should be fashionable or fashionista or something like that, but the personal hygiene, that the personal sense of appeal, that should be there. So that means it is very well written that the lady of the house, the lady should be very, very serene. She should be positive aura. She should be like, having a kind of the thing where the man is attracted towards her, to have that kind of a relationship with that. So where it should be, it's going wrong because we have a wrong mentality. It's not that the Granth has written wrong, right? So the intervention and the the thought of understanding the one particular line, that should be explained. And when I speak and when I say, because it's a day that's very, very important, why we are hesitant to speak about the appeal, right? And then it is again written in the Shastra that it should be in balance, that you cannot have the multiple sexual partners. Then you are prone to get all kind of the STIs. So that means you need to know where you have to put a stop, and then what is that? Like two bodies, when they have to meet together, they are coming so close. They are doing the kissing and they are doing everything together. If the hygiene is not there in the woman, do you think that any man is going to be attracted with her? So Kama Sutra has given the everything that Stree should be have the all garland of the the chameli ke phool and whatever the perfume. So where it is wrong? Why it is being taken as a wrong thing? It should not be. Rather, the aspect has to be understood by everybody so that the sex remains at the highest pedestal. We get a good generation, we get a healthy people, and the nation is going to progress. So that's what my take on this is. And this is what I actually teach in my clinic as well as to my patients as well.
Definitely, ma'am. Very rightly explained. And thank you for clearing all those things out. As World Sexual Health Association is talking with the theme of let's talk about pleasure. How would we come to the pleasure aspect when we still are caught up in taboos of all sorts around this topic in our country? So I am not saying that Ayurveda is superior than the Western medicine or any of that sort. I am simply saying that 1,000-year-old science of India were, clearly talking about this in a very explicit fashion and had a specific branch and science of procreation dedicated towards it, recognizing the importance of how important and essential that is. Coming from the evolution aspect in Western science as well, we see that the body of male, female, whatever it may be, first uses up its energy for survival. Once the survival needs are met, you have health and growth aspect that the body focuses on. Once that is there in place and there is no fight or flight or any fear from the outside surroundings, then the energy goes directed towards your sexual and procreation needs. So this is very much there in the Western science as well, and very specifically laid out. So having a stigma around this topic or doing hush hush or taboos around sexual topics or perspectives is really not required in this era, I believe. Coming down to the end of last questions to everybody, coming down to Dr. Deepak. Sir, how can barriers around seeking medical advice or seeking professional advice from doctors for related to sexual health and complications be removed? How can we as doctors work towards removing these barriers that people still have?
Before answering this question, I am too provoked by the previous speakers to share something very, very informative and very important. All of them have really voiced their feelings so purely and so nicely. One thing about Kama Sutra, we are the land of Kama Sutra. We have given the first beautiful sex education to the whole world. Okay, Kama Sutra is not a porn book. It's a book on aphorisms of love. It only teaches you how to make beautiful love, how to bridge the gap between you two. So many nice way of communications have been shown with the help of Pan, how to dress up, how to lure your husband, how to, so many. And positions has been a very small and one small chapter of it. So people have really misunderstood it. And even we have not understood how many people have read Kama Sutra. So that is one aspect of it. It's a beautiful. Second thing, I don't think any pathy is bad. Ayurveda, all are beautiful. I endorse Shilajit, I endorse Ashwagandha, I endorse Muesli, I endorse Brahmi. Beautiful medications are there for us. They are all plant-based and they are very helpful. I respect Ayurveda. I respect homeopathy. It is wonderful, but we should have a pure Ayurveda Charya or pure homeopathic who could give us the right thing. And second, most important thing, see, sexual health is not one person's domain. It is a holistic approach by maybe a gynecologist and a dermatologist and a psychiatrist and a physician and a psychologist. So it's a holistic approach. No one can say that, oh, I am a sexual, I can cover everything. No, it is very difficult. You need an endocrinologist. You need all. So it is a holistic approach. Okay. Now, there is something called a stigma, which is still there, but this has shifted towards shyness and maybe some social anxiety. So there is some barrier between, or there's something which we need to cross over. Today, we get couples who are educated. They walk in a clinic. The girl tells me, doc, he's not performing. Fix him or I'm going to leave him. Now, this is the stress she gives me, how much stress she must have given to the husband in the bedroom. So these are the things which we face in our day-to-day life. That is one thing. Okay, so this anxiety which every treating physician, maybe he may be an Ayurvedic doctor, homeopathic doctor, or a school teacher, or a school principal, or a parent. Everyone should come out of all these things and should ask everybody responsible to come to them to really attend to them and to really come out of this inertia. Then last, see, even today, the taboos permeating even in the medical culture. These students are not taught how to ask these questions, how to manage this, how to be emphatic, how to be human, how to be calm, and how to question them. And these skills have to be learned by everybody. And we need to actually become social constructivists. We need to reform our own brothers and sisters working in our own field to just join us and learn these new skills. And lastly, our medical curriculum. There is no mention about how to manage sexual relationship, what is orgasm, what is arousals. Nobody teaches, not in the school level, not in the college level, even not in the medical college level. So this is the state of affairs. So this medical curriculum needs to be a little bit reframed. And we need some teachers who should be positive. We have, see, how many medical colleges you have where there are sexual health department. In India, there are only two. One is in Mysore and second is in Mumbai, where I work. It is very difficult for the authorities to convince that please start a sexual health department. They are not even starting. Where sexual experts do exist, but sexual experts do not get an avenue to promote whatever they have as mass to the masses. So this is what, and teaching strategies also have to be different. You need to have privacy. You need to have, make the student, the learners over. So we need to reframe or rephrase or refurbish learners and the learning environment and everything else to open up or to decrease the inertia which they have, and let them talk, let everybody talk about it. I took up sexology only for one reason, that our generation have suffered, but I don't want my generations henceforth to suffer from the taboo. They should be open up. Doc, Dad, I've got an ED, Dad, I'm ejaculating soon. Nothing wrong in that. If they come out with it, this is what we want. And this will be a new era, a new thing which I am dreaming of, and this should happen. Because there is a cure, there is everything by lifestyle modifications, which is there, which is the best thing, the nutritional intervention, the exercises, the giving up of smoking, alcohol, everything. This is beautiful. I think nutritional intervention and lifestyle modification can make a big difference. And of course, we all should open up, and we all should teach the learners to open up and try to motivate everybody to ask about this problem, because there are solutions available in every pathy, be it in Ayurvedic, be it in homeopathic, be it in allopathy.
Very strongly said, sir. Very strongly expressed. And you basically said what I was wanting to say ever since. Coming from a dental...
Can I add one more thing?
Yes.
Please, one minute. See, according to me, woman is the best phenomenon on this earth. She's uncomparable. She's the best phenomenon. And we need to respect, adore, admire feminism. When we look back into the history, look what Ramayana, look Mahabharata, what happened to it. So feminism needs to adore, admire, and respect it. A man has an erectile dysfunction. His wife does not have any issue. She's fine, but he's avoiding, he's depriving her of all the pleasures which she deserves, which is her right. So this should not happen. I pray to God that if any man who does not adore, respect, or admire feminism, he should get permanent, incurable erectile dysfunction. This is what is.
That was nicely expressed, sir. And we completely agree with you. All the things that you've said, especially about inclusion of such questions and removing the taboos from the, starting from the structural redesigning of medical questions. I remember while we were in our internship, we were given OPD questions specifically to ask the patients so as to know what all is wrong with them. And I very nicely remember that we had no questions regarding sexual health or around that issue. So complete redesigning and focusing of this topic from the medical health perspective, from the medical education perspective, from the government and society's point of view is very much required, and as expressed by all our speakers. Another thing that we found all our speakers commonly voicing is that sexual health is not just one subject or one issue problem. It is a holistic problem which affects entire of your life and well-being, and is also fixed by fixing your holistic health. A similar thing was expressed by Dr. Ajayta when she said that you need to fix all your lifestyle and your routine and focus on all different aspects of health and thereby attain sexual wellness. Similar thing was expressed by Ms. Shelja as well, that her technologies are using different specialities, 6 different specialities to detect sexual wellness. A similar thing was expressed by Dr. Komal as well, that voicing this is just not one female or male issue. It is the issue of the society and needs to be covered in that way. Coming on to Dr. Komal next, can you please help us in suggesting how can we develop an inclusive attitude towards sexual needs of individuals without stereotyping or stigmatizing sexual choices or orientations? As you have good experience in working with people and the masses, I'm sure you are the best person for this question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sawant. So I have a very simple answer for this. I think it's a one-liner answer. The answer is to let's talk about it and break the barriers. There is nothing else. Like Dr. Ajayta was also mentioning, Dr. Deepak was also mentioning, sexual health is a mixture of science. And I think when you talk about stereotyping and addressing sexual needs and sexual orientation, especially these particular topics, are the very much affects our mental health and and the overall well-being. So like WHO said, it's not, the sexual health is not just about not having a disease, but a continuum of care from disease to being happily and and to grow up into a happier and healthier adult. When you say that a person needs to develop into a happier and healthier adult, the physical health is as much as important as mental health. So, and it's a very fair line between, the rejection and acceptance. When a child is growing up, or a youth is growing up, or a young adult is growing up, there are lots of questions and curiosity within his or her mind itself. And I think until unless we don't provide a safe space for them to open up about their queries and to go to right people and to get the right answers and without any judgment kind of thing, I think that is very much necessary over here. Definitely, I work with a lot of communities. We definitely meet a lot of people who think that, they still have doubts in sexual orientation and are not clear about the sexual needs. I think, we all talk about inclusion. We talk about diversity and inclusion. Also, I think it's very important to address that health is a fundamental right, but getting that health to right health to basically accessible all is not just a question of equality, it's a question of equity also. Until unless we don't build an environment which is equal, which is equitable for everyone and anyone, with not having a fear of judging or having a fear that whom can I go to and where can I go to. I think that is the most important thing. We don't have a comprehensive sexuality education now. I'm glad to say that one of my project is working for comprehensive sexuality education, and the topic like sexual orientation, sexual needs, etc. is a part of it. But why not it can be part of a bigger universe, like Dr. Deepak was saying. It's actually, again, my point would be very strong on that. I think we need to build a community where people actually come together and talk about it, and we have all the experts which actually can guide people around it, and we have right information and right tools to tell people that okay, fine, this is something that can lead you to become a happier and healthier adult. Because if we are not healthy, we are not happy, we are not happy, we are not healthy. It's just a continuum.
Very
Thank you.
rightly said, ma'am. And I'm sure as you are working with the masses, we also have Ms. Shelja, who is working with enormous amounts of data. So, ma'am, what, in your opinion, how you've seen the attitude change through, the people in their older generation and their older ages to now coming on to the youth when it comes to sexual awareness and discussions around physical intimacy and other areas likewise, such as consent, pleasure, and sexual orientation? How have you seen the difference? Are our youth really open towards these topics, or do we still have hesitancy and taboos even at the newer generations?
So, Dr. Sawant, I would say, as Dr. Komal also mentioned, that Plan India is working towards sexuality education. A part of our project is also sexuality education for all the age groups, maybe preteens, teens, and adults. And as we already discussed, that sexuality education, I think, starts at the early age of 3, when actually we set our kids out of home to our play school for the first time without parents. And we need to tell them that what is a safe touch and what is an unsafe touch. And moving towards the age when they're about to, hit their puberty, which is their preteens age, we need to tell them different topics that, okay, now your body is going to change, the emotional imbalance regarding your puberty, and why are these changes important? What is the reason behind those changes? Going towards their teenage, we need to tell them that what is masturbation, what are the do's and don'ts of a relationship, what is a reproductive system, as rightly mentioned by one of us only in the beginning of the talk, that yes, we need to give them, I think Sir only said this, that yes, I completely agree that we need to educate our youth so that they can take informed decisions. We are not telling them how to have a sexual intercourse. We are telling them what is the reality of life, what is behind sexual activity, what are the do's and don'ts, so that they can take informed decisions regarding their own body, regarding their own mental health, regarding their own sexual health when they want to get sexually active. So, and of course, when they turn adults, then we need to tell them that, okay, now if you're ready to get sexually active, then what are the do's and don'ts of a relationship, so that you lead to a healthy sexual life, so that it leads to an overall healthy, holistic well-being of yours. So when you ask this question, Dr. Sawant, the beautiful question, I must say that is our youth getting more open to these questions? And I'm really proud to say that yes, while designing the whole sexuality education courses for these age groups, we did have some panel discussions, we did have some discussions, and it was really surprising that in comparison to the adults, the youth were more curious and were more open to ask questions. The curiosity they had, and we were happy that we could answer them in the right filtered approach, so that they don't have to approach anywhere else for the answers. So yes, now they're opening up. Rather, they have debates around sexuality. We tell them, as parents, understand that we will let you know more about it once you grow up a little bit more. They are very open to tell, no, we would ask science behind sexuality. What is the science behind puberty, even if they're not at that age? Opening up, and they are ready to know the right answer, the right sign behind their body, which is very, very important. So good to see the new India coming up.
That is very good to know, and thank you for sharing that, ma'am. So with that, we come to the end of our very insightful and very encouraging session. As we are very short in time, let me just sum it up everything. We were able to talk about the different perspectives that people had before, how they are changing now, what the different science and technologies are doing in this current day and age for helping that. But it all boils down in the end to you and me. If you are able to talk freely on this topic and you are able to give that environment to people around you to open up to you, I am sure we are going to be a very successful nation when it comes to sexual health and perspectives as well. With that, I hope you have a nice day ahead. Thank you so much. Thank you for staying with us till the very end. And I also like to thank all our expert speakers for taking out their valuable time and sharing their knowledge and insights with us today. Thank you so much. With that, we see you off. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you.
Thank you
all.
very much.